in this video I'm going to walk you through a formula from my previous video that I just uploaded and show you how I think about substitutions in order to still recreate a formula even if I don't have all the materials referenced in the formula originally. This is important for beginners because when I started out, I used to treat formulas like some kind of final Bible where if I don't have this exact material, then the whole perfume is ruined. But actually, in perfumery, there is a lot more room than you think. Obviously, you're gonna get the best results if you follow the formulas exactly as they are, but it's not always possible for whatever reason. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how I would do it. When I first open a formula, what I do is I scan the list to see what I have, what I don't have. Well, let's say I scan, I'm like, okay, I have bergamot, juniper, I don't have pink pepper, hedione, I don't have HC, I have regular, fluorohydryl, fluoroozone, those I don't have sylvamber, I have isoy super, ambrofix, I've never heard of this, habanolide, I don't have, cedar amber, I do have, clearwood, I don't have, cedarwood I have, but a different kind, and I do have ambrosinide. Alright, so even though I'm missing so many materials, I can still recreate this. Of course, we'll have to make some sacrifice, but we can still do it. Like I said, the first thing I do is I scan the list to see what I have, what I don't have. If there's something I'm not familiar with, I will research. For example, okay, in this case, we don't know what is ambrofix. I would go and I would search on Google or AI, whatever, what is this material, what are the synonyms, what are the alternatives, just to get a rough idea for what function does this serve. Let's say in this example we search for synonyms, we find that ambrofix is another word for ambermax, if I remember correctly, and I do have that, so technically I have the same material, so this is not a problem, it's just a synonym. Okay, let's start from the top. I said I don't have pink pepper. Well, what is it? What does it do? This is what I would ask. I don't have pink pepper, but what does this material do? What is it supposed to accomplish in this formula? I know that it's a top note and it's a pepper, so obviously it's there to add texture, it's there to add some kind of spice so that the opening doesn't feel so smooth or so flat. And I do have black pepper, so I could use that just as well. Sure, black pepper does not smell like pink pepper and you will have a different result, but you're still gonna get a spicy top note. Depending on what material you're substituting, you may have to adjust the grams so that the relative percentage and the impact is the same. But in this case, you could just swap black pepper for pink pepper and it would be pretty much the same. If you don't have black pepper, well, what else can you do? What else is spicy? What else is sharp? What else can you add to the top notes? Maybe you could add ginger. Sure, it's not as spicy, but it's still a spice. And it is still a top note, so you could do that. Talking about top notes, what if you don't have bergamot? Well, what is bergamot? Bergamot is a citrus. So you could use any other citrus. You could use lemon, you could use lime, you could use mandarin, you could use grapefruit. The point is that we need some kind of citrus. So if you don't have bergamot, use whatever citrus you have. Just know that you are making this substitution, and if you're trying to recreate a popular formula like Dior or whatever, then you know you're not going to have the same result because you're using different materials, but the formula will still function and you won't have holes in your formula. Let's move on. I said I don't have hedione HC, but I have regular hedione. Okay, I know that hedione HC is almost the same as hedione smell-wise. It's supposed to perform better and smell slightly different, but we could use regular hedione. We just need to increase the grams because hedione HC is stronger. So if you use regular hedione, which is weaker, we need more of that. Fluorohydryl, fluoroozone, well, these are aquatic materials. If you don't have these for some reason, use another aquatic material. Next, I said I don't have sylvamber, I have isoy super. Sylvamber is not really a synonym because it smells different than isoy super, but just so slightly. You could use any of the materials from this family. Isoy super, timber silk, sylvamber. I know there are other names for this. Just use whatever you have. Next, we have ambrofix. We already talked about this. I said I don't have habanolide. Okay, what is habanolide? Habanolide is a musk, and it's not the most animalic musk. It's quite clean. So you could use galaxolide. You could use ethylene brassylate. You could even use ambretolide, exaltolide. Now I have to mention that with musks, there are two kinds of musks. There are polycyclic musks and macrocyclic musks, and I think there are also nitro musks. I'm not sure about that, but there are different kinds of musks. So in this case, I would want to research what kind of musk habanalite is, and then try to get the same kind of musk in this place. Try to research the performance of this, and see if I have a different musk that has the same kind of performance and the same kind of musk family that this habanalite has. I don't remember if I said that I don't have clearwood or not, but if you don't have clearwood, use another patchouli molecule. Use patchouli heart, use patchouli crude, any patchouli. Cedarwood Virginian. If you don't have Virginian, use Cedarwood Texas, whatever other cedarwood you have. And ambrosionite, well, that's quite hard to substitute, I would say. I'm not sure if you can substitute it. Probably you can, I just don't know of any ways. But let's say you followed what I said and you substituted bergamot and pink pepper and sylvamber and habanalite and clearwood. You may be asking, won't this change the formula? Won't this smell different? Why should I even do this? And the answer is, yes, it will smell different because you use different materials. But you are gonna get close to what the original would have smelled like. And even if you create this and you don't really like the smell, because you think, well, I use lemon instead of bergamot and I don't really like lemon. Now you know that bergamot is really essential for this kind of perfume or this kind of smell or top notes. So next time when you make this, you know that you need bergamot, otherwise it's just not gonna smell that good. If you replace Hedion HC with regular Hedion, in this case it wouldn't matter, you wouldn't tell the difference. Maybe the performance would be slightly impacted, but the smell itself is not gonna be that much different. Same with sylvamber. If you use timber silk or isoe super, I doubt that anyone would tell the difference unless they're really skilled and their nose is really trained. Substituting Ambrofix for Ambermax is the same material, there's just a different name, so no problem there. Using a different musk instead of habanalide might affect the base notes and the dry down. But even there, in my experience, the musks are rarely even smelled because they're so close to the skin. You have to get close to smell it. And oftentimes people spray their perfume on their neck or their clothes or somewhere else. I'm simply saying that habanalide would not be the critical kind of substitution here. And yes, I know that even the base notes affect the top notes, but in my experience it never is that dramatic. If you substituted clearwood and you use patchouli, it would smell more like patchouli. I don't really like the patchouli crude smell as much. I try to use it as little as possible, and if I can, I would use clearwood instead, because patchouli crude has that very specific patchouli smell, and to me, I just don't really like it. It reminds me of elderly women perfume, and that's not my type. But these are the sacrifices you make. If you don't have the exact material, you just have to know that this is the smell you're adding in your perfume. This is what I do with every formula that I find online. I scan through the list, I note the things that I don't have or don't know. If I don't know what it is, I research what it is. For example, in a recent creation, the formula called for Lyral and Lilial. I don't have those. I didn't know what they are. Okay, I researched. It's supposed to smell kind of like Hedion, or just I could use Hedion instead of that. It was for JPG Lamal, and I used these materials, and the perfume smells like Lamal. It just has slightly different heart. To summarize very quickly, the way I would approach a new formula is I scan the list, I write down the things that I don't know, don't recognize, or just don't have. I research them to learn what the function is, what the smell is supposed to be like, what are the synonyms and alternatives for this, and then I try to logically replace them. Just like I said with bergamot, it's a citrus, so I'm going to use another citrus if I don't have it. If it's a musk, I'm going to try to match and use a different kind of musk, so that the perfume still performs like intended, just smells slightly different. And I say slightly, but I have to warn you because this is not always the case. Some materials are so essential for the smell of the perfume that if you replace it, it's just not gonna feel the same. A good example is the same Lamal formula. It called for mugwort and I think white thyme and some other herbal bitter material that I don't have. I did substitute them with the ones that I have, but it just doesn't hit the same as the original. Or another example, I recently recreated Greenlee using a formula that I bought online. And I don't have the apple base that the formula references. I also didn't have some other materials, so it kind of smells like Greenlee in the dry down, but the opening is not. because I lack those materials, and those materials are super integral for that formula and especially for my subjective taste. So be careful when you substitute. Sometimes it might be better to omit the smell altogether instead of introducing a faulty one. Perhaps in this example on the screen, if you don't have clearwood, I would not use regular patchouli. I mean patchouli hard to patchouli crude because they're different. They're gonna add an earthy element that I personally don't like. If you do, go ahead. It's gonna smell even better for you then. But if I saw this formula and I'm like, okay, I don't have clearwood anymore, I would just drop it and I would not use patchouli because I don't like it that much. This gives me another idea, and is that if you see a material and you don't like it and you'd prefer to use another material, go ahead. Unless you're really trying to duplicate the formula, then there is freedom. You can use the materials you like and not use the ones you don't like. Substitution is just as much art as it is technicality and precision. In my experience, there are two kinds of substitutions. One is you could substitute with something that smells similar, or you could substitute with something that performs similar but smells different. In the first example, substituting bergamot with another bergamot. Maybe you don't like bergamot FCF, maybe you like bergamot Italy, or I don't know, whatever bergamots you have. But in the second example where you substitute for functionality and not smell, you could substitute bergamot with lemon or any other citrus. It will smell different, but it's still going to be a citrus and it's still going to be a top note. It's just gonna smell different. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm learning, I make mistakes, but this is what I learned. This is how I approach substitution, and so far I've been pretty successful because I've been able to recreate things like Parfum de Marly Layton, using substitutions, and DIYing an apple top note for this formula. I've also substituted Arabian Tonka, Mega Mare, Mont Blanc Explorer, and the latest one was JPG Le Male, which is probably my most successful substitution because it really smells like Le Male, just less bitter, which means that I kind of understand this a little bit. I'm not saying this is perfect, but it works for me and I wanted to share with you. So if you have any tips and suggestions for me or anyone else on the channel, feel free to leave in the comments so that we can all learn together. Thank you and have a good day.